Welcome to everyone. In this week's video you will learn how powerful and profitable the cycles are. You will also learn how to use them to trade the stock market to increase your profits. This week's video will cover the SP500 for the week of August 19, 2024. Before we start, make sure you read carefully the disclaimer. The August 5th was an important low. There is a high probability it was the 40-week cycle low. The 5,669.67 high on July 16th was certainly the 40-week cycle peak. Let's see what we can expect in the near future. Let's start by the 10-day cycle. The last trading signal was on August 9th, when the SP 500 crossed above his cycle line at 5,300 for a potential target at 5,480. or 180 points or 3.41% of a potential profit. The target has been met on August 15th. The next 10 days cycle low was expected on August 13th, and the one after on August 22nd. Here are the cycle lines for this week and their potential target. If the SP 500 crossed below his cycle line this week, the success rate is 100%, and since we expect a 10 days low on August 22nd, the cycle trend is down. The 20 days cycle. On my last update, I was expected the next 20 days cycle low occur on August 5th. The last 20 days low was right on time on August 5th. The last trading signal was on August 14th, when the market crossed above his cycle line at 5,420. for a potential upside target at 5,720, a new all-time high. 300 points or 5.55% of potential profits. The next 20 days cycle low is expected on August 22nd. The success rate is 100%. Here the cycle line for this week and their potential target, in case the market will cross below them. The cycle trend for this week is down, since we expect the 20-day cycle form a low on August 22nd. This low should find support on his cycle line between 5,350 and 5,400. 40 days cycle. The 40 days low occurred right on time on August 5th. See my previous update for more detail. With a low at 5,119.86 on August 5th. The SP 500 meet and exceed the target zone from the July 24th signal. The crossing occur at 5,562 for the first line and 5,505 for the second line, providing a downside potential target zone between 5,455 and 5,341, or respectively $107 and $164, or between 1.93 and 2.98% of potential profits. On August 15th, the SP 500 crossed above his cycle line at 5,442 and 5,453 for a potential upside target zone between 5,764 and 5,786, or respectively 322 and 333 points or 5.93 and 6.12% of potential profit. Since the beginning of the year, the success rate is 100%. Here are the cycle lines for this week and their potential targets, if the SP 500 cross below them. The cycle trend for this week is up until the 22 and start to turn down, since we are technically at the theoretical peak of the cycle. This doesn't mean the market will drop, it's just the cycle trend. What's next? During the next decline on his way to form his 40-day cycle low, the SP 500 should find support on his cycle line around the September 8th. For now it's still too early to know where the cycle lines will be at that time. The 80-day cycle. The July 16th 5,669.67 high was the last 80 days cycle peak. The peak occurred on the right part of the cycle, the green dashed line. Usually when the peak occurs on the right part, the decline is mild. So why the correction was so sharp? The reason is, we were expected a long-term cycle to form a low. The 20 and the 40-week cycle. Since the two larger degree cycles was on the decline phase, this put more pressure on the downside. The next 80-day cycle peak is expected to form on the right side of the cycle. The next 80-day cycle low is scheduled to form on October 12th and should find support on his cycle line. If the SP 500 cross sharply below his cycle line at that time, this will mean there is some bearishness coming into the market. And the possibility of the 40-week cycle is not over yet, could be considerate. But for now the trend is still bullish. The last trading signal was on the downside, when the SP 500 crossed below his cycle line on August 2nd. At 5,479 and 5,467 for a target zone between 5,288 and 5,265. 190 and 201 points or 3.47 and 3.69% of potential profit. The target has been meet and exceed on August 5th, the day of the major low. What's next? If the market cross above his cycle line in the next few weeks, this will not only confirm the August low is at least the 80 days low, but this will also provide an upside potential target. Here are the cycle lines for this week and their potential target. If the SP 500 cross above them this week, if the SP 500 find resistance and start to decline sharply, then we can consider it. The option of the 40-week cycle low is not formed and is still to come. But for now we still have good trading opportunity on lower time frame. The success rate is 100% and the cycle trend is up for this week. Where are we on the roadmap? Just as reminder, the cycle line used on the roadmap is the 20-day cycle line. Since the last 80 days low was on August 5th, we are right there. The SP 500 crossed above his 20-day cycle line, providing an upside potential target on his way to form the 20 days peak. Then the SP 500 will start a correction to form a low on August 22nd, finding support on his cycle line. If the SP 500 cross below his cycle line at that time, this will be the first sign of some weakness of the market. Then the SP 500 will rally and form his 40-day cycle peak. To stay bullish, the 40-day cycle peak have to form on the right part of the 40-day cycle. Then after his 40 days peak, the SP 500 should cross below his cycle line, providing a downside target for the 40-day cycle low on September 8th. After the 40 days low, the market will cross above his cycle line, providing an upside target for the 80 days cycle peak. This peak should form on the left part of the cycle or at the best, right on the cycle peak. After the 80 days cycle peak formation, the SP 500 should cross back below his cycle line, providing a downside target for the next 80 days cycle low, forming a first low around the last week of September. Then rally toward his cycle line, using it as resistance, before heading down to October 12th, to form the 80 days cycle low. The 20-week cycle. The rebound from the August 5th low. Rise. The probability of the August 5th low is a 20-week cycle low. We can notice the median price line. The yellow line crossed briefly below his cycle line and crossed back above the next week. This invalid a potential trading signal. If the August 5th low is the second 20 weeks since the major low on October 2023, this 20-week cycle have a duration of 16 weeks, matching the 18 weeks length from the Hurst nominal model. A sharp decline below his cycle line, with confirmation the next week, will confirm of the possibility of the 40-week cycle is not over yet. But for now my preferred analysis is the August 5th low is the 20 and 40-week cycle low. The next 20-week cycle low is scheduled for mid-December. The cycle trend is up and the success rate is 100%. The 40-week cycle. Time-wise, the 40 weeks low formed on August 5th have a length of 41 weeks, matching with the Hurst nominal model, which is 39 weeks. Lately the cycles are running longer than usually. The second point in favor of placing the 40-week cycle low on August 5th is the S&P 500 finds support on his cycle line and rebound sharply. The 40-week cycle peak occur on the right side of the cycle, the red dashed line. So the correction should be mild. The next 40-week cycle low is expected to form around the second week of May 2025, the yellow zone. At that time, the S&P 500 should cross below his cycle line, providing a potential downside target. The next peak is expected by the end of December 2024 and should form on the left part of the cycle. Assuming the August 5th is the 40-week cycle low, I draw the 40-week cycle trend line from the October 2023 low to the August 5th low. The crossing below this trend line will confirm the formation of the next 18-month cycle peak. The 18-month cycle low is expected for April 2025. The cycle trend is up and the success rate is 100%. In conclusion, the S&P 500 has formed his 40-week low on August 5th. But we have to keep in mind the possibility the 40-week cycle is not completed yet and run longer than expected. In this case, we can expect this low to form by the end of September, beginning of October. To have confirmation, we have to watch carefully the market reaction with the 80-day cycle line. But for now, my favorite analysis is the S&P 500 is on his way to new all-time high. If you like this video, please share with your friends, click on the like button and subscribe to make sure you don't miss any future important videos. This is the end of this week's video. Thank you for following me. Next week, I will publish another market update.